Hey everyone, Stash on Parks here with the Grumpy Gnome-I Hate Everything podcast. My therapist thought it'd be a good idea to keep this going, and I think so too. Yeah, you've seen your therapist, of course, up at the VA, man. You guys are all like, no fucking shit, Sergeant Parks, you need to see a fucking therapist. Yeah, I see one, alright. Oh my god. Yeah. It's I think they're just keeping me around for experiments. I tell you what, they're not trying to kill me. She's like, my therapist is like, hey, we got a new study going on down in wherever. She's it's a new study about, psychedelics and combat veterans and shit like that. I'm like, what? This is like it's like some kind of movie shit right here. And I'm like, okay, she's talking to me about it. Yeah, they microdose you and work on psychedelics and combat veterans. And I'm like, oh, this is the book writing itself. And then I'm like, okay, all right, tell me more. I'm kind of open to it. Let's see, something's got to help. And then I go, so where's it at? This would be great if this was like in fucking Mexico or Southern California or Northern California or Oregon or some shit like that, somewhere beautiful. No, she goes, it's in the Bronx, fucking New York. I'm like, yeah, that's not happening. I'm not going to fucking go trip balls in the Bronx, New York. Okay, there, yeah, that's why I think the VA is trying to kill me. Yeah, let's go fucking do a psychedelic experiment and study on these combat veterans in the Bronx. Fucking kidding me? I guarantee you get down there to some fucking decrepit old ass hospital with nothing but padded rooms. Yeah, trying to trap me. I know it. But so I'll try to keep all these jovial. I'm trying to do this for my kids, and in case something happens. And I keep these on. Like I said, I'm having problems with my throat. It's a shame to see Val Kilmer pass, and he was having throat problems, and it kind of messes with your head. Like, oh man, am I going down that route? And then my colon. So. I gotta plug along at the VA, but yeah, I'm not gonna go do no study in the Bronx tripping balls. There's no fucking way. You can't shove that one up your ass. But yeah, so I go to the VA for all my shit, because I'm not 100% all fucking crazy, I got other problems. But I just wanted to give an update on other shit too. So, the last letter, the sequel's coming out November. Is what I'm being told by the publisher. So that'll be out, and so look for that. Mrs. Doherty, she's just such a diehard supporter of this whole thing. But I got the page proofs, and I'm going over all the corrections right there. And I got to get those back by the 1st. So I don't know if I'm going to post this by the 1st or not. But so that's the update on that. There's a last letter page. I redid a Facebook page. I'm not going to do a personal page anymore. I'm just I was going down the wrong path on that. So there's actual The Last Letter Facebook page. So you can find that. And I'll post all the updates on there. I got the back cover and the front cover back too, but I had to turn those in because they just look. I mean, first one was a color scheme, and then the silhouettes looked like a Charlie's Angels cover. It was weird. So I was like, no, you gotta work on that. And then I got the second. They gave me the second version of it, and then the color scheme was great, and they got the title. All that stuff is great, but the silhouettes were weird. You know, they had like combat uniforms, but then you'd see the Marine cover on the top from the Blues cover. It was just weird. I was like, no, just do a solitary figure like from the one of this. And I guess apparently the artist that did that one, I don't think he relinquished his rights to it. So I don't know. I was like, man, just take one guy from that and put it up there. So it's just, you know, But I got that. So they're working on the cover again. And I'll post that on the Last Letter Facebook page, and then I'll post it on here in the post section of the channel. And you know, like I said, Mrs. Doherty, you know, her son, you know, just Ian was in my squad, and you know, I kind of put some dedication in there, especially in the second one. I got the dedication correct and all that good stuff. But she, you know, crowdsourced the money for the Audible book for the first one, and man, this fucking publisher, I'll tell you, I'm not using them for the third book, that's for sure. I mean, holy shit, but they were supposed to do the Audible book, and then the contract was, you know, paid on, delivered, and that was supposed to be done. It was supposed to be out by Christmas, and they're still having trouble with the Audible book. And I guess apparently the AI, you know, motherfucking AI, can't get the Texas or Southern accent down right. Because, you know, I dropped the G on a lot of these fuckings, and you know, whatever, you know, needs a G at the end if it's coming from someone from the South, because, you know, it's just what we do. And I try to get the y'alls in there, and I guess the AI's having trouble with it, or their cheap-ass AI's having trouble with it, so they keep giving me the runaround on that. So I just wanted to give you an update on that, and that the Audible book for the first one is coming, I guess. It'll be on Amazon, too, but, I mean, fucking AI, I don't know. I really don't. It's becoming a pain in the ass, and then I threaten them like, just give me my fucking money back. I'll just give it back to Miss Doherty, because I wasn't going to do an Audible book, but you know, she really wanted to get it out there. And like I said, she's the #1 supporter of all this, you know, besides my own mom. But it's just, they're just a pain in the ass, this company, and I'll definitely not use them for the third. But that's all written too. The third's written. I'm just gonna, I guess after I get done with the page proofs on the second one and return it to the publisher by the first, I'll work on the third, make sure I just go over it so it doesn't need a page proof for the next go around, so it'll be out faster. Hopefully maybe end of 2026. That'd be great. And this one comes out holiday season 2025 for the sequel, and then the third will be out holiday season 2026. So that'd be cool. Wrap it all up so everything will be out there in case, you know, I do, you know, go early or something. You know, I'll have it all printed and out there, and you know, everyone can know the history. And like I said, if you want to watch any of these other previous videos, you'll learn the history of the characters in the book. And again, it's just based on my Marine Corps experience and fucked up career. Don't drink. That's the moral of all these fucking things, is don't fucking drink. And if you got a problem, you need to fucking stop. Let's see. But yeah, again, today I'm just going to talk about, I guess I'm just going to focus today on boot camp as going as infantry MOS. You know, just boot camp MOS, and then the next episode, if I keep going, it'll be SOI, and I'll just focus on infantry, you know, School of Infantry. Yeah, I'm just going to focus on infantry because that's all I know, but I just want to give you perspective for all these young, if any of you young men out there watch this shit and want to go Marine Infantry, I'm going to give you no bullshit, straight through pure misery fucking perspective of all this. And so you go in this with some open eyes and don't expect all this glory bullshit. You will be pissing yourself to stay warm if you're stuck in boat company. So, I mean, and then you will be fretting for your lives if you end up in trackers when you jump out, you know, when they go out the back of a ship and you just sink for a little bit. You don't know if you're coming back up. So that's the shit you got to worry about. That's an eye-opener. It's not all glory, or you don't know if you're going to go down in a helo. Like I've been down in a helo, Osprey. So the very first one. So go in there with open eyes if you're going infantry. It's not rah-rah bullshit all the time. I mean, you look back on it, if you survive it, you look back on it and you're like, fuck yeah, that was awesome, but During it, you're in fucking misery. Okay? So get that little fucking Marine Corps band playing in your head. Just get that out of your head. It's not like that. And there's a point, case in point, I went home on recruiter's assistance as a new corporal. And it was during the holiday break we got. And I forgot what year this was. Maybe 98? I don't know. Maybe 98? Hey, who knows? Whatever. It's 97, 98. No, 98. It had to be. Yeah, 98. So I was a corporal. So I went home on the recruiter's assistance, and that's where you can go home on leave and not use your leave points, and you can keep your leave days. So you can use it for terminal leave at the end of your contract if you want to get out. So I went home on recruiter's assistance, and so what you do is recruiter's assistance, you just sit there at the office, go to the high schools with them or whatever. Or most of the time, my recruiters just didn't make me show up. I just stayed home and got fucking wasted. And then I'd show up every once in a while at a pool league function, to help with the PFTs or running or whatever, give them some kind of... So one day he had me speak to these poolees, these recruits that were... they're not even recruits, so they ain't even going in yet, they're just at a pool league function getting ready to sign their paperwork and get ready to go. And he goes, Corporal Parkinson, and this is the same recruiter that got Private Tatro stuck with my squad when I was a sergeant later on, and before the Osprey crash, and that's how he ended up perishing on the Osprey crash. It's this recruiter. Well, anyway, here's my recruiter too. So I was over there talking to the wannabe recruits or poolies, and he was like, "Tell them what it's like to be infantry." And then he goes off, and I'm like, all right, I'll tell him what I do. I'm in boat company. I was in India Company 3-5, so I was telling him about boat company. Hey, you go out in fucking middle of the Pacific Ocean, 0 dark 30. It's miserable. You're cold. You piss yourself in the surf. You bust surf. You got to paddle out, and you're doing all this shit. And I'm like, it's just that, I just said it's just like the B-grade Navy SEALs, basically. That's all I was telling them. We're not Navy SEALs, but we're doing that shit. We train alongside them in Coronado, and I was going in depth of how miserable this fucking shit was. You're dragging these boats out, and I was talking about Okinawa and dragging boats out, and I was like, I was being truthful to these young men, and I was a young man too, so I was being honest with them, and my recruiter comes back, and so we dismiss. I was honest. I'm talking about nothing but weapons maintenance and all these live fire ranges, and all about boat company. Oh my God! My recruiter comes up to me and goes, "What the?" And he was a staff sergeant. And I was like, "Yeah, what's up, staff sergeant?" And he's like, "What the fuck did you tell these fucking recruits?" And I'm like, "I don't know, staff sergeant, the truth." And he goes, "God damn it, fucking Parkinson, they all want to go infantry and they're requesting boat company." I'm like, "Well, they can't request boat company. That's not how it works." He goes, "I know that, God damn it." I'm like, "Well, fucking shit, sorry, staff sergeant. You told me to talk to them, and be honest with them." And he goes, "They all want to go infantry. They're changing their MOSs. They're not, and I have quotas." I'm like, "Oh, shit, sorry, man. I don't know." I don't know what to tell you. I was being honest. Because it's no fucking picnic, man. It's miserable. But you do build that camaraderie and brotherhood, and I goddamn wouldn't have it any other way. But but I was a field marine. Even though I hated going to the field, going on boat raids and all this shit, but I was a field marine. Because if you put me in the barracks, I'd fuck it up. I was usually drinking. I think it was all the time drinking. But yeah, even that carried all the way up to when I was a staff sergeant, man. I was a field marine, and I hated being in the field, but I was a field marine. Because you leave me in the rear in the barracks, I'm gonna fuck it up. So this is why maybe I'll go through the series and you guys learn. And if you watch any of the other previous series about my misadventures in those episodes, you'll learn some more fucked up shit. But that's all hilarious shit, and that's kind of putting a sugar coat on everything. That's more about brotherhood than pure misery. But so yeah, I'll just talk about boot camp, and. If you get a chance, go on boot lead, go on recruiter's assistance, and when you get later on in the fleet, because it's it saves your leave days, and eventually when I was infantry, because infantry, man, it's a network back there in infantry, and my first sergeant, he just whenever I'd come in and put in my leave paperwork as a sergeant, he just tore it up. He said, "Get the fuck out of here, Sergeant Parks. Be back by this time. So my leave never got taken away. I ended up with 3 months of terminal leave when I shouldn't have, because my first sergeant, he just ripped up my paperwork. So you be a good devil, and they'll take care of you. But my first sergeant, he was the one from the Osprey crash and all that shit. So he's like, man, get the fuck out of here, Sergeant Parks. Just be back by this time. He's like, roger that, fucking first sergeant. Yeah, give me a shot of his Bushmills. But today I'm going to just talk about boot camp. And, you know, what was it like going there as an infantry recruit. So, initially, you know, me and my 4 buddies were losers, man. We weren't doing shit. And this is West Texas, and I think we were in Abilene. But we weren't doing fucking shit. Fuck all. I was delivering pizzas, and I was 21. This is fucking pathetic. And we had all started watching, I think it was A Few Good Men, of course, Heartbreak Ridge, and again, you know, we just all got jazzed up about that shit. And it's like, oh, fuck yeah, man, let's do that. And I'm like, yeah, Gunny Highway, go fucking recon, blah, blah, blah. So that's what I did, and we all went down the same fucking recruiter I had, and all 4 of us was in his office, and he's telling us about the Marine Corps, and because we just seen those fucking movies, and I was like, man, fucking send me infantry. And he looked up our ASVAB scores, and he's like, and you know, my buddies were smart, and they were smart, you know, I think we all scored 80 and above on the ASVAB. And he's like, well, fuck, you guys can do any job you want in the Marine Corps. And, you know, he started talking about boot camp. And he's like, it's the longest boot camp in the military. It's the hardest boot camp in the military. It's the hardest boot camp in the fucking world. And it's a fucking tough boot camp. I'll fucking give it that much. I don't know what boot camp is like in fucking some of those third world countries where they actually kill you during boot camp. But fucking Marine Corps is fucking, I guarantee it's worldwide known as the fucking toughest ass boot camp. I mean, if you get a chance, go to YouTube and look up drill instructors doing drill at the Marine Corps base. That is motivating shit. But after you get out of the Marine Corps, it's motivating shit. But when you're there, it's miserable. But, yeah, get a chance to look at that shit on YouTube. It's cool as fuck. And those drill instructors are on it. But so he was telling us about he's 13 weeks long, and I'm still fucking on high from watching Gunny Highway and Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood and shit, and A Few Good Men. I'm fucking infantry. He's like, you know, you got an 8, I think it was an 80 or an 85, and your GT score is like 117 or 121 or some shit like that. You can do whatever you want in the Marine Corps. And, you know, I'm like, no. I want to go fucking infantry. And my mom told us before we went down to the recruiter because she was a 20 plus year vet of the Air Force, and she's like, go Air Force. All of you, go Air Force. And she put that in our head. She's go Air Force. You'll appreciate it. It's easier. Da 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 da. And I'm like, of course, it's my mom, so I'm gonna do the exact fucking opposite of my mom. And I was like, fuck no, I'm going Marine Corps. Blah. And so me and my buddy, all 4 of us were down there, and then my recruiter goes back to do something, and they bail. 2 of them bail. They go straight to the Air Force recruiter because it's like 6-week boot camp. I don't even know if it was COVID back then, but it was a 6-week boot camp, and then they were going to do. One was doing firefighter, and one became like missile munitions or whatever. I don't know what the fuck he ended up doing, but they both made careers out of it. And one was crash fire rescue, and one was like doing missiles or some shit. And and me and my other buddy, we just stayed in the Marine recruiter's office, and he came out and he's like, where the fuck did the other 2 go? I'm like, you lost them, Staff Sergeant. And so me and my buddies went in back then it was the buddy program. But I'll get into this in a little bit. I really didn't see him much in boot camp. And you really don't want them to know you were in there on buddy program, because if one's getting thrashed, the buddy's getting thrashed. So, hey, don't you're in there on the buddy program? No. So we sign up, all jazz, but he goes electrician, man, and reservist. He goes electrician, reservist, but I really didn't understand what reservist was because my fucking recruiter didn't have a quota for reservists. He wanted active duty, but my buddy didn't want to let go of home that right away, so he wanted reservist electrician. But eventually, I ran into him later, years on, and he wished he'd gone to active duty as his MOS, but he wished he'd gone active duty, made a career out of it. But anyway, and like I said, I should have made a career out of mine too, but I didn't do that. But so he goes reservist electrician, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? What happened to the infantry? You ain't going infantry with me? He's like, no. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go infantry, active duty, blah. And my staff sergeant's like, all right, yeah, I'll sign right here, motherfucker. So, yeah. So we had like a ship out date like 2 or 3 months out. I mean, he was out there, and so we're getting drunk one day. It's a bunch of us getting drunk, and I think the other two still hadn't shipped out for the Air Force yet. So all of us were just sitting at my mom's house, and we're just in the backyard, just grilling shit up and just fucking getting wasted. You know, my sister's there, and God rest her soul. But you know, I'll talk more about it later. But everyone was there, and you know, her boyfriend was one of the ones that was going to the Air Force, and so she, you know, it was kind of like an impromptu kind of like, hey man, this y'all's, but it wasn't really. We had our dates weren't for a while, but you know, we were just getting. Well, it's probably normal loser shit, just getting wasted and drinking. You know, just grilling out in the backyard, and the phone rings, and I swear it's like, it had to be like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and. I answer the phone like what you know, because back then you had the regular phones, it's not cell phones, so you just go up to the house and get the landline and fucking pick it up. I'm like, yeah, hello. And he goes, hey, Staff Sergeant Huddleston now, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, Staff Sergeant, what's going on? And he goes, what do you got up to? I'm like, man, is this guy gonna try to come over or some shit? And he's like, what are you guys up to? I'm like, I was just fucking drinking. You know, grilling and shit, and he's like, all right, you and Derek want to leave tonight? I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I got two quotas to go tonight, two seats. We need to get them filled. You two want to go tonight? I'm telling you, I was drunk. I was fucking drunk. And I lean out the back door, I look out the back screen door, and I just got the phone in my hand, and Derek's out there with his girlfriend, and just getting wasted, and I mean, she was sitting on his lap, I think, and man, it's just, I'm like, Derek, you want to go to the Marine Corps tonight? You want to go to boot camp tonight? And he's like, what? And he dips, and he fucking dips like what? I ain't fucking going nowhere. Fuck that. And I'm like, yeah, Staff Sergeant fucking needs 2 people to go tonight. They got 2 seats. Do you want to go? And we were fucking wasted. And he's like, and we're sitting there staring at each other for a second. His girlfriend's getting worried, and my sister's getting like, what the fuck is happening? And everyone's just kind of pausing. And I was like, are we going? And he goes, oh, I don't know. Are we going, Jake? And I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Let's go. Let's just get it over with. Let's just rip it off like a Band-Aid. Just get it done, man. And because I don't think he was prepared for me to say that. But he goes, all right, let's fucking go. And if I can tell Staff Sergeant, like, Staff Sergeant, yeah, we're in, come get us. And so he's, all right, I'll be there in about an hour. And you say your goodbyes. And I'm like, shit, my mom's at work doing her double shift, and she's at the fucking post office distribution center. I'm like, oh shit. I write about it in one of the books I got published in. This one. There's a bunch of essays in there that I did that got published, and I talk about it in there. But yeah. So my mom was there, and his mom was, I don't know where his mom was, but his parents were, so he had to call them. I don't even know if he got a chance to see him, but he can call, his girlfriend was all upset, and my sister was getting upset, and so Staff Sergeant picks us up, and I'm like, well, can we stop by and see my mom real quick? And I think it was my Staff Sergeant, or maybe, yeah, it had to have been, and me and Derek, we all went. And so we went to the Postal Distribution Center, and I, talked to the security guard. I'm like, hey, I'm leaving for the Marine Corps boot camp, like, now. Can I say goodbye to my mom, and can you go grab her? And he went and grabbed her, and he goes, yeah, good luck to you, Marine. I'm like, well, in my head, I'm like, but I wasn't a Marine yet. And then, so, yeah, she comes out, and I'm like, Mom, I'm fucking going in the Marine Corps right now. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah. They had 2 spaces in the field. She goes, and just like, I fucking knew it. Fucking military, man. She was crabby as shit. But she, my mom was ice cold. So, I mean, she was affectionate. I'm just saying, she was just that demeanor. So, she was like, all right, son, good luck to you. I gave her a hug and said, I love you, Mama. And then I just got back in the vehicle with the Staff Sergeant, and we went. Cause like I said, we were still drunk, So he drove us down to Dallas from Abilene. Fuck, I don't know. It's like 3 hours, 3.5 hours. Go to the Dallas Meps, and then we're going to ship out the next day. Fly out to MCRD in San Diego. So we get down there, both me and him were passed out in the back seat, just out. And then he wakes us up when we get down to the MEPS thing. It's like downtown Dallas, and we get to the hotel, and we do something that day. And then I don't think we're really going through the actual physical part and all that shit yet. I know we were there for like a day and a half, 2 days. But anyway, that night they were saying, all right, get some sleep, get back in there in the hotel. I was going through, we go through all the MEP shit that day, and getting your, doing the duck walk and all your physicals and all this crap, getting all that paperwork done. That night they put us back in the hotel room, and it's me and my buddy in a room. But I'm 21. I think I'm the only 21. The one that's 21. And Hooters wasn't too far down the road. But we had a curfew. We had to be in by, a certain time. And I think it was 2100. We had to be in bed by. And they were going to do a fucking room checks later or some shit. And I snuck out the fucking window and went down the fire escape. So when the fire escape lowers, I let it go back up quietly, but I forgot that you can't get back to it. And I was looking at that thing like, oh shit, how the fuck am I supposed to get back up to it? And I was like, oh no. But anyway, I go off to Hooters and I get fucking drunk. And I'm at Hooters, and then they do a bed check and I'm not in the bed check. My buddy's trying to cover for me. He's like, I think he went to someone else's room for real quick or something. I don't know. And so he was trying to cover for me. But I come back, and I'm like an hour late. And I come back, and I jump up on, I see the fucking fire escape, and I jump up on this side of this, like I'm back in my prime, and I'm kind of in shape. So I jump up on the side of the building. I'm like parkour before parkour was a thing, and I'm like pushing my hand like this, grabbing the ceiling of this windowsill, this concrete windowsill, whatever it is, and I'm pulling myself up. And I get over to the fire escape, and I pull it down. And I'm just like hanging, and my weight pulls it down like you'd expect. And I go up the fucking fire escape, and I look through the windows, and the police are all helping me. Like, no, go upstairs. Keep going up. Keep going up. Looking through the window, keep going up. And then I get to my window, and I see in the window that they're still fucking around with my roommate. And I go up to one more floor, and I go in through another guy's window, and I come down through this ladder well. In the stairwell, and I come to my room, and they're like, what happened to you, blah blah. I'm like, oh no, I was fucking just up there talking to somebody, sorry man, just lost track of time. Alright, and he screamed at me, and then get your ass in the wreck, and we're gonna bring this up tomorrow. So when I get to MEPS the next day, oh my god, this captain comes bum rushing me as soon as I get there, and he's just in my face. It's a captain, Marine Corps captain. And he goes, sorry, my throat. He goes, I'm gonna send your ass back home. I don't think you're fit to be a Marine. I'm going to send your ass right back home. And in my head, I was still kind of hungover from going to Hooters and stuff. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, I don't really want to do this anyway. So fuck. I was like, all right, I understand, sir. And he goes, get the fuck out of my face. Go get in line. I'm like, all right. So I was like, shit, there goes. I'm still in the Marine Corps. I didn't get to go home. So there's a bunch of us from the same area. We're all going together, and man, right from the get go, I get put charged in all these fuckers. I just wanted to chill with my buddy because we just the other day we're having a barbecue, and I just wanted to chill with my buddy heading out there, flying out and stuff. Man, they gave me the packet for everybody, all the pulleys. I don't know why I got thrown in charge again. Maybe because I was fucking ballsy and disrespectful. I don't know. Punish me. They gave me everybody's paperwork, and I had it all, and I was in charge at every fucking layover or whatever we had to do. The one layover we had to, stop and, gather everybody. I had to make sure everyone was together and make sure we got on a plane together. I had to make sure everyone was on a fucking plane. And I was like, this is not how I want to spend my fucking last few minutes of freedom heading over to MCR Dean in San Diego. But we had this one kid, and he had some, my buddy, they ain't got issued him yet, but, my buddy had glasses, and this kid had glasses, and the whole way over to boot camp, he just said he couldn't wait. He was infantry too, so like I said, there's a few of us that were infantry, but this kid was infantry, and he just the whole way there, the plane trip over, and I think, unfortunately, he was in the seat in front of me or a seat next to me, and maybe they were doing that as punishment too. But he wouldn't shut the fuck up. Oh my god. And he's one of those kids that are joining the Marines from his small hometown. He must have got, I don't know, maybe bullied or something. I don't know, or had it rough. But he was out to prove everybody he could be a Marine. He's just one of those that was just out to prove he could be a Marine. You know, just like, hey, I'm gonna prove to my hometown I can be a Marine. I'm not a nobody. I'm gonna be a fucking Marine, and I'm gonna go infantry, just to prove how tough I am. You run into a lot of those in infantry. Like I said, it's usually a lot of ex-jocks in infantry and a lot of, you know, bullied kids that try to prove that they can do it, and they'll make it through. Some of them shouldn't, but they make it through. So this kid, he's one of those. He just must have been bullied or something. He just went shut the fuck up. And all he wanted to do was talk about being infantry. I can't. And he watched the same fucking movies I did. So, you know, it's Heartbreak Ridge, A Few Good Men, Full Metal Jacket. Everyone knew that fucking movie. So, I mean, so we're talking about all that, and I think we're even talking about, is the boot camp scenes really like that? Nah, it's fucking Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't fucking know, but this kid, I can't wait to be there. I'm going to be fucking company honor, man. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to rock it. I'm just going to be infantry, and I just can't wait to be infantry, and just can't wait to, you know, go to war and all this stuff. And he's just one of those, and it's like, okay, dude, all right. I mean, he was shorter than me. Like I said, I'm not very tall. I'm 5'8", so, you know, you'll see a lot of Marines aren't very tall. And it's usually not very many in between. It's usually either really, really tall or short. So we get the MCRD. We get to the San Diego International Airport. We get there and we go to the USO and hang out there for a bit. And we're sitting there. There's a bunch of us in there now. A bunch of us have filed in for this, you know, from all over the, you know, the cut of the Mississippi. I think is the dividing line between East and West Coast Marines. So all of us west of the Mississippi are going to MCRD. So everyone's filing in that's getting picked up this cycle, and we're stuck in the USO, and it's getting cramped in there, and everyone's just like, what was fucking happening? And we all didn't know what to expect. Everyone. And again, you know, it's just everyone. I think a lot of us got plucked out of nowhere just in the middle of fucking getting drunk and getting a barbecue by the recruiter. But there's this, as soon as so pay attention. You go on the Marines, and especially if you're going infantry, just pay attention to this shit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It sounds funny now. It's because I'm out. At the time, it's scary as fuck, and I was nervous as fuck. So I'm sitting there, and all of us are sitting there, and everyone's young, you know, 18. I think I'm still probably one of the oldest at 21. And this, I swear, he was like 6'4". Jamaican drill instructor comes in. He had a Jamaican accent too, and I'm not going to insult their accent by trying to attempt it. But he had just picture this 6'4" dude, Jamaican accent. He comes in there and he just says, "Get on my fucking bus." That's all he said to us. And just the way he looked at us, we were moving, just just going. And there was a bus outside, and we jump on the bus. We're all slamming in there, trying to get the fuck in there. And then he gets on the bus right after us, and he just says, "Shut the fuck up." None of us said a word. And every one of us was thinking in our head, "Oh, motherfucker, what the fuck did we get into?" And so it was nighttime, so we're driving to MCRD, you know, start the intake and the processing. So when you listen up here, this first part of boot camp, the first day and a half, you're up nonstop. You don't get rack out. You don't get no sleep the first day and a half. You're just doing nothing but paperwork and processing. So be prepared for that. First day and a half is nothing but paperwork and processing. You're going to be dog tired. So you get to MCRD, and they start, and as soon as we get there and we pull up, and here comes the famous yellow footprints that they talk about. And this is, you're supposed to be a moment of pride, you know, you're just like, oh shit, I'm stepping on the yellow footprints. But, you know, it's not really hyped up in the movies that much, but standing on those yellow footprints is a monumental thing for a Marine. You just, at the time, you don't have the time to think about it because you're scared shitless because they are screaming at you. So he gets on the bus, he looks, and we can pull up, and you see out there the yellow footprints, and we of course, we don't know what the fuck they are. But that drill instructor, 6'4" Jamaican, just looks at us. "You got 6 seconds. Get off my fucking bus." That's all he said to us, and we were just throwing our shit out the windows. Everyone was going out the emergency exit. We were climbing over the seats to get out the fucking front of the bus. He's like, 6 seconds. 5, 4, 3, and oh my god, we didn't know what the fuck. And then he unloads as soon as he fucking gets to 1. He's like, 1, 0, motherfuckers! And he just starts screaming in people's ears. Ah! And so he gets in that kid he was next to me, and I want to say his name because we gave him a horrible nickname, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna fucking do that to him. He's still an innocent little kid, but that drill instructor zeroed in on him, and he was screaming back at the drill instructor. And the drill instructor, "Hey, get the fuck out of my bus! Get the fuck!" I'm like, I'm trying, sir. And just a little weak ass voice. Get on my fucking footsteps. And then there's drill instructors outside. Get on the fucking footsteps. Get on the fucking footsteps. And hopefully your recruiters taught you how to get the position of attention and parade rest and all that shit, because my recruiter didn't teach me fuck all. So, and like I said, I think maybe that was coming up in the couple months before we had to leave, but since, like I said, we got snatched out of our barbecue. So I was like, what? My buddy, we got lost in the shuffle, so I didn't even see my buddy. I don't know where he ended up, and I'm just like, okay, I'll get on these fucking footprints. And he's like, they're screaming at, your fucking hands right here, and they slapping me, like slamming my hands against my thighs. I'm like, motherfucker, man. And I'm getting like manhandled, and I don't like it. So we get in there, and you go through the intake, and it's like nut to butt. You're nut to butt, and you're like in your skivvy. Eventually strip down your skivvies once you get out of your civilian stuff, and you're like nut to butt. And and you do your processing, and then then this is when they start. So those that smoke weed and lie about it, and you better stick to that no answer, but just be honest from now on, with your recruiter. Be honest with your recruiter. Don't try to come into boot camp later and admit to it later. You be honest with your recruiter. If you did. But some of these guys did. And so while you're there, they're screaming at you. And I was just a drinker, but they didn't have any penalty against that. But a lot of these fuckers, because I probably still would have blown over .08 or whatever. But so these girls start to run around screaming like, if you smoked weed and you lied to your recruiter, you better tell us now, because we're going to find out. We're going to piss test you, because you're going to get piss tested, you're going to get drug tested as soon as you get there. And a few of these kids broke down because they keep running around screaming at you. And these kids broke down, and they went and said, yeah, I smoked weed, blah. And then they got fucking snatched up like right there, man, snatched up. I don't know what fucking happened to him. I don't know if they got kicked out with a bad conduct discharge or what, but we never saw them again. They got snatched up right then and there. So, you don't want that on your record. You don't. So be honest with your recruiters. So you young men that are trying to go in the Marine Corps, you be honest with your recruiters, because you need a waiver for all that shit. Yeah, so don't lie to your recruiters, because they'll fucking get you. But if we saw them guys leave, we're like, what the fuck? Dumbasses. So you go through all that, and then of course you get your head shaved, and these guys are not nice to you, so be prepared. You fucking guys don't like being manhandled and stuff, and you're used to these nice little barbers that are, talk to you and, how's your day, blah, blah. No. These barbers are like, grab your head and like, zack. They're not nice. And they will cut you. So, and you're in there for like 4 or 5 seconds, and you're out. Next. And don't go in there with a shaved head either. You'll get screamed at by the drill instructors. You ain't a fucking Marine. You ain't gonna fucking shave your head for it. And, they take pride, and those barbers love fucking shaving that head. They like, They like being mean to recruits coming in. Shave your fucking head. So you get done with that, and then so you get all this shit, and then they give you all these fucking toiletries and cleaning supplies, and you're in these boxes, and you got your sea bags full of gear. You're getting all your gear and all that stuff. So finally, when you get through all that processing after a day and a half, you go to this place called the receiving barracks or whatever, and then I think you're there for like another 2 days. But you're there, and they're teaching you how to do fire watch. One guy's got to stay watch an hour, and you go wake up the next one. They're kind of teaching you that in this receiving barracks, and you're kind of sitting there. And I finally catch up to my buddy. And we're in receiving barracks. Like the first day we're in receiving barracks, and the drill instructors that are in charge of the receiving barracks, we didn't know it was receiving barracks. And so we're just like, okay. And the drill instructors that were in charge of receiving barracks, they were mean, but they weren't like all up in your face, like, because they're kind of teaching us how to make our racks and all this shit. And then, so we get some free time that one of the evenings, like an hour or something before rack time, and everyone is, talking to each other, and we're finally, getting brave enough to talk to each other, and I catch up with my buddy, and I was like, "Is this boot camp? This isn't too bad. So far it's great. I mean, it's not great, but I mean, it's not like I pictured it. It's not as bad as I thought it was. But of course, we're getting used to our goofy ass hair, because our ears are all sticking out because we've got no hair, and my buddy got his BCDs or BCGs or whatever they're called, birth control glasses, because no woman will ever be with a man that wears these things out in public. They're terrible, big old square bottle glasses. I mean, and everyone that had prescription, there's no more contacts. You're wearing these fucking birth control glasses that they give you, and they're terrible and they're ugly as shit. Thank God I have 2015 vision. But I was making fun of his ass, and it was like and then we're like, this ain't so bad. And then our drill instructors, all right, attention. We get online in front of our racks, and all right, your drill instructors are here to pick you up. I'm like, oh shit. We're all like, oh, what? Our eyes just go wide. Like, these aren't the drill instructors? What is about to happen? And sure as shit, all hell breaks loose. You get swarmed by these maniacs, and then they're just, they don't give a fuck who you are. Race, religion, tall, short, they don't give a fuck. They're equal hate on everybody. They will tear you down on everything about you and your physical appearance. They will tear you down, but they do it so angrily, but it's funny, but you can't laugh. Oh, hell no, don't fucking laugh. Don't you fucking laugh. You'll get swarmed. And they're like little fucking hornets. They'll swarm you. There's like 5 or 6 of them. So you're getting screamed at, and you're filing out, and you're going to your barracks, your actual barracks that you're going to be in for the next 3 months. And then straight up to the barracks. There you go. And they you get, and they're getting screamed at, and you're just running around. They're running around blitzing. You're getting screamed at. They're dumping your bags, and you're dumping your sea bags, and they're screaming at you. They didn't even introduce themselves to you yet. And they're just fucking screaming at you. And then you get all your shit in your foot locker that's next to your rack, and you put it all in there, and you really don't have time to sort it out. You're just shoving it in there because they haven't taught you how to sort it and place it in there anyway. You're just trying to get it in there. And then, and if they don't like it, they'll come over there and dump your foot locker and out in the middle, and you'll do it again. And they grabbed all our boots and threw them in the middle and tied them all. I don't know. We didn't even tie them together. They just grabbed our combat boots and just threw them in the fucking middle of the squad bay. Just this huge pile of boots, and they're just dumping our foot lockers. And so that kid, I said, was all gung ho infantry. Just must have got bullied when he was back in West Texas, but. They went to his foot locker and they dumped it, and they were on him, and he started crying like right away, because he was like a deer in headlights as soon as we got there, and they started screaming at us because when we're talking, it was like, this ain't so bad. And then when we got the real drill instructors, he just didn't know. I don't think he was comprehending how bad this was going to be. So they see his foot locker and they pick out the weak link right away, and they just dump his foot locker, and he starts crying. He's just like, oh my, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be like this, and they're like, oh shit. So we all run over that came over with them in the plane. We all run over to help him put his shit away. Like, oh, okay, we get it in there and put it back, and he's still online in position of attention, after we get his foot locker squared away and we get our own back together, and they're still like sharks just up and down the squad bay, just screaming at people like this far from your face, and if you break, and oh my god, they're trying to break you. That's what it is. So be prepared. They're trying to break you. So he's still slobbering, and the tears are still coming down his eyes, and they're just like swarming. I'm like, oh, you fucking missed your mommy, blah, blah, blah. You want your mommy's tit, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, no, sir. He's like, and then the tears are just coming now. So they grab his foot locker, and they fucking dump it again, and he just starts bawling. He drops to his knees and starts bawling. He's just crying, and he's like, hey, they're swarming. Get your fucking foot locker. So he crawls over on his hands and knees and starts grabbing his shit. So all of us run over there again. And I think there's more of us this time because we felt so bad. So we start throwing his shit in his foot locker for him and get over there. And while we're doing that for him, they're dumping our own. The drill instructors go over there and dump our unattended ones. So we go over there and help each other out, and we get it all. And they're just trying to teach you teamwork too, I guess. But man, fuck. And we were all scared shitless. And then so he's still blubbering and crying. And then so they're just screaming at him again. Just like, you want your mama? You want your mama? Tell me how you want your mama. Say you want your mama. Say you want your mama. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say, I want my mama. And I'm telling you, they'll fucking break you down. And we're like, holy fucking shit, what is happening? But we can't move and we can't show emotion because they're position of attention, because if we show motion to move, they're fucking beyond us. So they're just all over him. And so they grab his footlocker again, and they just go to dump it. One grabs one side, and the other one grabs the other handle, and they're going to dump it. He jumps on it, and when he jumps on it, it goes straight to the ground with him on top of it, and like yanks the drill instructors down, and they get pissed. And he's just laying across his footlocker, crying, "Don't you dump my footlocker again! Don't you dump my footlocker again! Don't you dump my footlocker again!" Ah! What? Oh my God! And then all the drill instructors come and just like screaming at him, just making him want his mama and screaming at him, "Hey, you pussy!" Ah! And we're just like, "Oh my God!" Ah! He's just, "You're not taking my footlocker again." And so they all grab the footlocker and just launch it with him in on top of it, and he just goes flying. Shit goes flying. We go over there and put it back. Oh man, he was just blubbering and crying. He just wouldn't get off the floor after that, and they just. I'll tell you about him in a little bit, but they snatched him. I don't know where he went. Well, I see him later, but I'll tell you as the progression through boot camp goes. I'll tell you about him. But oh man, he left our platoon real quick and in a hurry. So after we see him leave, we're like, "What the fuck is going on? What did we sign up for?" And our boots are just in this mountain of boots in the middle of the squad bay, and they're just screaming at us, "Go get your fucking boots!" And they start counting down from like 10, and we're trying to find 9 wide. I'm 9 wide, so I'm like trying to find a 9 wide, and just what the fuck? And there's like a 13 and a 12, and I'm just trying, and they get down to like 2, 1, and you just grab what you can. So I grabbed like a 9 I saw, and it wasn't 9 wide, and I think it was like a 12, and then I just went back to I just got a right and left. That's all we could do. Holy shit. So we got those on, and then they bring us up to the front of the squad bay, and then they start, we get, we sit in formation, and then they introduce each one to us. And most of your drill instructors are supply or air wing, and most of them are pogues. But you will get those infantry drill instructors, and I talk about in this book again in one of my things about my infantry drill instructor. He was left over from the Vietnam War. I mean, he was a gunny, and I think he was just capped at gunny because I think he was too insane to go any higher. But when he put on his uniform, his alphas and his blues and shit, I mean, he had some hash marks, and it was like 26 years in, or it was up there. Because each one is crap. Each one is 4 years. Each hash mark's 4 years. So he was up there. It was like 26 years. And I was like, oh my God. But so they come out and introduce themselves and say they're MOS, but we really don't know what MOSs are. And but he comes out, and he was in 0311. And he goes, I was 0311. But I recognized 03 from Full Metal Jacket. 0300, you made it. Brr, 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 brr. And so I was like, oh shit. And so they introduced us, but we had one infantry drill instructor, and he was from Vietnam. Sorry about that. The computer's battery is dying on me. So they introduced themselves, and I did have an infantry drill instructor with my platoon. So I think there's 6 platoons in boot camp in your company, and we were I think it's called trailer platoon, but we were the last platoon, in the series, and that's usually where I guess supposedly they send all the misfits or the leftovers. I don't know what the fuck it is, but there was we got shit on a bunch, but yeah, we were the last platoon in the thing. So your first couple nights, you're just in shock. I mean, they're screaming at you they scream at you all the way through boot camp. So just be prepared for all that. Just try not to laugh, because a lot of it's funny. A lot of it is funny, but don't laugh when you're. Don't fucking laugh. But a lot of it's funny. We were outside Chow Hall one time, and we're in formation outside Chow Hall, and we had this short drill instructor, and he was a supply drill instructor, but he was short, and he was the meanest one. But when he yelled at you, he had to look up to you, and it was just added to the comedy. But you weren't going to do it. But he was there. But he was short. He was mean. I think his name was Staff Sergeant Smith, but he was mean as fuck. So we're outside the chow hall, and there's some seagulls right there, and a lot of us hadn't even seen seagulls, but whatever, there's some seagulls right there, and he's yelling at us, and we're at the position of attention, just, not moving, frozen, just looking straight ahead, and he's yelling at us, and the seagulls start barking, or whatever seagulls do, or cawing behind him, and then he's still yelling at us, and they're still doing their little seagull shit, and so finally he has enough, and he turns around and starts mimicking them. Like he's trying to speak their language, but he's angrier and louder. So he starts yelling at these like 4 or 5 seagulls that are right behind him. We all want to laugh so. Oh my god, we want to laugh so hard. I just wanted to laugh my fucking ass off. I've never had to. That's bearing. That's how they teach you bearing, I guess. All of us. We had to wait until that Sunday when we had our free time. For those that didn't go to the church or whatever, when we had our free time, wanted to read the paper or whatever, that's when we could laugh about it. So we had to wait like a whole week to laugh about it. Barking at the seagulls. But yeah, he was the meanest one. And then I was on Firewatch one night, and there's a... and I think it was Glickman, but like I said back then, if all the infantry guys went to boot camp. The commandant wanted you to go from boot camp together, SOI together, to the fleet together. So a lot of these guys, I went from boot camp all the way up to the fleet together. So Glickman was there, and he was one of those guys I always went to the fleet with. He was in the what do we call it? The mouse house. It's where they keep all the cleaning supplies and the rubbing alcohol. And hey, you'll catch a fucking couple guys in boot camp that are just craving alcohol that bad. They'll go in there and try to sneak that rubbing alcohol. That's just bad for your liver. That's oh my god. And they've caught a couple, and they'll fucking hammer the shit out of you. I don't think they kick you out for it, but that's some needy shit to start drinking some rubbing alcohol at that young age. But anyway, I wasn't one of them, surprisingly, and I didn't have to do that. But so he's in the mouse house, I guess counting all the shit, make sure we have it all there. And one of the drill instructors comes out and says something, and I say, Glickman, hey, Staff Sergeant Prentice wants you to, and then all of a sudden, this can of spray paint just barrels straight towards my head. And I see it, and it just hits me upside. It's a fucking spray paint can. It hits me upside my head, and he comes running over there and grabs me by the brim of my fucking cover and just like pulls me into his chest. And he's like 6'2" or 3", so he's taller than me. He's just pulling me into his chest, and he's like whispering in my ear all angrily and just pulling me down. He's like, "It is drill instructor Staff Sergeant Prentice," and then shoves my head back with that. And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir. Sorry, drill instructor Staff Sergeant Prentice, sir." Okay. Don't forget the drill instructor in front of their rank. And that's the lesson learned there. I got pinged with a fucking spray paint can in the head. They're not supposed to do that, but whatever. Oh, man. But hey, he became my favorite, though. He was awesome. I'll talk about him a little bit, too. You just kind of got to find your motivation to get through boot camp. Let's see. We did have a bedwetter. Oh, that didn't go over well. At nighttime, us on Firewatch, we'd see him do it. But we didn't want to rat him out, so he would sneak into the laundry room and try to wash his sheets before the morning. And, the drill instructors caught him one time. Whew, that woke us all up when they caught him washing his piss-stained sheets. So he tried to... They found it in the... They found the sheets in the washing machine. Yeah, they woke us all up for that one. So he disappeared. He went to, I don't know, separated. I guess you just can't be a bedwetter, I guess. Man, holy shit. So he left real quick and in a hurry. God bless him. He tried to make it, but he was a bedwetter. I don't know what. I don't know the psychological reason behind that, but yeah, you just can't be a Marine if you're a bedwetter. He might have been going infantry too, so oof. So that does happen. I mean, it's not fun to laugh. I mean, I guess it's not funny to laugh at, but I mean, we were in shock. I know the next day, whenever we try to be able to talk to each other, we're like, "What the fuck happened to him? Holy shit!" Asked his rack mate what the hell's going on. Like he didn't pee on you. Yeah, again, you just got to find your motivation to get through, and that's all it is. It's mental. You got to find your motivation to get through and just don't break. We had one kid break. I'm sure this happens in a lot of boot camps and a lot of boot camp platoons, but this one kid just couldn't take it anymore. He was getting swarmed one day, and he just said fuck it and just walked out. I mean, I don't know where he was going, and I don't know where they caught him, but they were like swarming him as he was walking out. He just kept walking because they were going to hit him because we were watching. I don't know what they did when they went down there, but he kept walking towards like the main gate. He just walked, but they were screaming out the whole way. He never came back to the platoon either. Yeah, that didn't go well. He walked off. He just like literally walked off. So he disappeared, and we just couldn't believe the balls on him. But man, it's funny to laugh at, but I mean, that's misery. He was miserable, and he snapped and just walked out. And same with the bedwetter, just their misery. It's miserable. So looking back now, you can laugh at it, but at the time we were like, what the fuck is going on here? But that kid that I came with, just on the Foot Locker thing, so I would see him in the chow hall later. So, in chow, you just gotta be, just don't say a fucking word. And he's just screaming at me. He's like, hey, Parkinson, because he's serving us chow, and I didn't recognize him. And he's just like further down the line. He's like, Parkinson, yeah. He's just all smiling. He's BCG glasses on. Parkinson. Hey, what the fuck are you waving at me for? Don't fucking draw attention to me. Fuck you. Fucking psycho. Yeah, he got. I don't even think we called it Section 8, but I guess the old school did Section 8 him. But he was fucking Section 8. They got rid of him. But I don't know how long they kept him around doing chow hall duty. Maybe a couple years. Sit there do chow hall at boot camp, but never get promoted. But he was getting processed out. I don't know what happened to him later in life. I don't know, but I'm sure he's one of those guys that went back home, that failed boot camp, said, oh, my shoulder, you make my shoulder, make my shoulder, oh, my knee, That's why I couldn't do boot camp. No, more than likely they were just broke and couldn't handle it, or they're bedwetter. Oh, my shoulder, no. I went through boot camp with my dislocated shoulder, and it kept popping out the whole time when I was doing the fucking stupid monkey bars, so I made it through and got company on a man, so you can go fuck yourself. And then you get the other guys that come back home from boot camp that fail boot camp that say, oh, I was too violent. I've proven that there's plenty of violence in boot camp, so that's not an excuse either. And you just got to weed through all the bullshit. But yeah, I saw that kid back in the chow hall. He was just all smiled. So he knew he was going home. I don't think he made it home before I did, but yeah, there's just a couple more little stories there. I'm trying to think of some more, but the boot camp, again, it's all motivation. You got to find that motivation. Mine was my mom. You got the obstacle courses. They're intimidating. The rappel tower. As soon as you fly in, if you're not flying in at nighttime, but as soon as you fly in, if you're flying in the daytime at San Diego International Airport, you'll see the rappel tower. It says Marines right on it. So, yeah, you have to rappel that motherfucker. I really didn't have any problems with heights at that time. I still don't. I have problems flying, but yeah, I thought it was great. Some guys got scared up there and couldn't do it, but you're going down. You're not going to be able to walk back down unless you totally break down and snap and cry like a baby. But if you're not, you're going rappelling down. You're going to go down. You're not going to be able to go back down the stairs. You're going down the rappel rope. So you be prepared for that. So you guys that are going, military, Marine Corps boot camp, just be prepared. You're doing that rappel tower. You're not going to get a second chance. You're going down that first time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. They're not going to let you walk back down. But it's just that you just get thrashed. You're good to go. I mean, that's just common things. I mean, you spend your time drilling, and then you'll go to a thing called prac. You'll take a prac test, and it's just general knowledge of the Marine Corps. They teach you all your general orders and the history of the Marine Corps, and you just memorize shit. You do classroom shit, and you just memorize shit. This is the way it was back then. And to me, it was easy because it's just basic facts. All you do is memorize basic facts, and so you take the prac test, and I'm sure I'm not, but I score a perfect on it. And I mean, I don't know if I was the only one or what, but that started skylining me right away, and I shouldn't have fucking done that. I should have missed a couple questions on purpose or something. But to me, it was just easy, the prac, and I think part of it was breaking down and reassembling the M16, which everyone doesn't have problems. And if you're infantry, you need to pay attention because that's your fucking lifeline is that rifle. But I got 100% on the prac. Again, I don't know if I was the only one, but that skylined me. And at one point, there's a few of us that got separated to this room. They called us out of the platoons and come here, Parkinson. Like, oh shit. It was a strange drill instructor. It wasn't like the normal drill, one of ours. And so they just stood by and let me go. And so I followed them to this room. It was like, I don't know, there was a handful of us in there. And I guess this is for the Yankee White program or some security clearance program. But I had a record, and I had to get a waiver for it to go into the Marine Corps. So that disqualified me, I think, right away. But I guess because my ASVAB scored and then getting 100% on the prac, they brought me in there. Or maybe this was before the prac test. But anyway, I think it's pretty quick in boot camp this happened. So we're in there, we're taking these tests, and it's weird. I think it's Arabic or Farsi or what, I don't know, but it's some weird cartoons on the page, and they're speaking weird dialects in the cartoons, but you're supposed to try to translate it. If you do end up doing that, here's a little tip. I would go off the gestures of the pictures. Because who the fuck at 18, 19 years old, unless you grew up in that household, know Arabic? I mean, so that's what these pictures were. And they showed, Middle Eastern people with the thing on their head, I forget what it's called, whatever. Hijab or whatever it's called. And, you'd see them in the pictures, talking to, I guess, Marines or, it's all intelligence, but it's like cartoons with the little stupid bubbles and there's Arabic in there or whatever it is, Farsi or I don't know what it is. But, yeah, if you're going in and you get to that test, some of you guys get pulled in that room to do that test, just go off the gestures in the pictures. That's what I would recommend. Try to decipher the pictures and the meaning of it that way. But again, I don't know. They don't share the results of those tests, and I think my record would have disqualified me anyways. But yeah, I could have bombed the test too because I didn't understand Arabic. But it's just little quirks of boot camp. It's just a little government reaching in their fingers trying to tap that next little, I guess, Jason Bourne or whatever. But that was my little eye opener. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? We're all in this dark room and we're not supposed to talk. And look, we're in these little cubicles taking this little fucking test. It was weird. Let's see, another thing in boot camp. So we get to the PFT. So if you don't run, here's one. This guy ended up in the fleet with me too. Oh my God. He shows that don't do this. Don't show up with a tattoo already with USMC on it, and damn sure don't brand yourself with USMC on it. He branded USMC with like a coat hanger before he went to boot camp on his pectoral. So when the drill instructor saw that when he was taking off his shirt or something at PT, we were doing something, or boxing, he had to take off his shirt or whatever, they saw that, they swarmed his ass on the PT field. Even the PT drill instructors swarmed him. There was like 12, 13. You think you're a fucking Marine, blah. You think you're a fucking Marine. You ain't shit. We'll see if you make it through the Marine. We'll see if you make it to be a Marine, blah. And he was hammering away and thrashing the piss at him. So don't do that. Don't show up with tattoos already with the Marine Corps on it. Don't show up with a shaved head. And damn sure don't show up with a brand that says USMC on your chest. But like I said, he ended up in the fleet. And Dumbass got PFC tattooed on his fucking arm, and he's gonna keep doing it for every fucking rank. He's gonna keep adding to that tattoo. I'm like, you're an idiot. We saw him in the fleet later. You're a fucking idiot, man. He didn't even make it past Lance Corporal. He was just a rock. He's dumb as shit. But yeah, so don't show up with a fucking tattoo, don't show up with a shaved head, and don't show up with a brand on your fucking chest. USMC branded to him. So yeah, you go out there to PT, and back then they had the boxing, but Marines, recruits died from this, head trauma, because a lot of these guys don't come in from boxing backgrounds or fighting backgrounds or been in any kind of fights, and they get hit in the temple. We're not supposed to hit in the head, but those drill instructors are like fucking betting on you, and like you're two pit bulls, and the ring is only 6x6, and it's like a sandbag cut ring or whatever, and you throw on your boxing gloves, headgear, groin protector, and the drill instructor's on the outside just egging it on, but you're not supposed to hit in the head, but you do anyway. And so I remember this is the hardest I've ever been hit in my life, and I've been in a lot of scraps and got my ass kicked a lot of times. This is the hardest I've ever hit in my life. Is again this thing. This guy was from Iowa. I'll remember this to this day. His name's Good Pastor, and me and him are the same size. And I remember, and I kind of knew what to do. I don't know. And so me and him get in there, and they're like, the drill instructors are like betting on you, and they're just screaming at you, from this dude from this platoon, it's your dude from this platoon. And so we start going to town, and he hit me right now. I think he hit me with a right hook or a left hook. I mean, it was a hook, and I've never been I knocked out, but I still wasn't knocked out. But that was the hardest I've ever been hit. I mean, that was like jaw jarring hit. I mean, it like sent a concussive wave through my head type of hit. I mean, he was just one of those. We were the same size and same muscular build, but he just had that natural. He was from a farm too, and his name was Good Pastor, and he was naturally farm strength, and he just. And I mean, that shook my whole body. I mean, I've never been hit that hard, but that was back then. They don't do the boxing anymore, but you'll do bugle sticks. But we had this guy Dickman in our platoon, and he became the champion of boot camp because he if you ever watch Rocky IV, Ivan Drago, he's a spitting image of it, and we went to SOI together, and I've showed pictures of him earlier, but I'll show some more when I talk about SOI in the next episode. But he literally knocked people out, and luckily no one died, but the biggest guys they could put in there with him, he still towered over them, and he just would send them out of that little range. They would be out. And the corpsman would go over there and wake him up with smelling salts and shit like that, but he would knock him out. So Dickman won everything he was in, and he was just like... So they made him guide for a bit, but he had trouble with guide, but he was always a squad leader. If not, he wasn't guide, but he was my squad leader, one of my squad leaders when I picked up guide. So we go so after that, the PT drill instructors are mean as fuck too, so you guys be prepared for that. But I don't know what they teach now. Just be prepared when you get out to the PT fields that they're going to thrash the piss out of you, and the PT drill instructors just fuck as mean as your own. So we had this one drill instructor who got relieved because he hit a recruit in the mouse house. He punched a recruit, and he got relieved there and everything. He's one of ours. He wasn't even in that great shape either. The rest of our drill instructors were in great shape. This guy was kind of frumpy. But this drill instructor was. But yeah, he got relieved. He punched a recruit in the mouse house. Recruit told on him. Which you're supposed to. You're not supposed to hit. But yeah, so that's like the PT stuff. And then you'll do a week of mess and maintenance. So some of you guys will go to the chow hall for a week. And those guys loved it because they got to eat all this fucking desserts and shit. Unfortunately, some of us got stuck with the PT drill instructors. So if you get stuck with the PT drill instructors, you're just getting thrashed for that whole week. And then they'll fucking put you back in the ring and you'll box that whole week. Because, they'll take bets on you. It sucks. If you're with the PT drill instructor, it sucks. So you come back each night and everyone's all went to the mess night and had the mess duty. They're all fat and happy. And then the rest of us are all miserable and tired because we're getting thrashed by the PT drill instructors. So if you get stuck with PT drill instructors, you're fucked. So then we go finally, if you don't come in great shape, they'll put you in great shape. So by the time the final PFT rolled around, every practice PFT or every 3 mile run we did, I would just try to stay on someone and who was faster than me, and then I gradually got better. So I would just stay on someone's ass who was faster than me, and I'd just push myself to stay with them. So I bumped up that way. And then there's this one kid that just could run. I mean, he could run. So I was like, that was my goal by the final PFT, is if I could stay on his ass, I got it. Because like I said, I was a natural sprinter. So we get to the final PFT, and then so one of the drill instructors, he's just known as a runner too, and I forgot his name, but he was running it with us. So we take off, and I'm staying on that kid's ass, and I'm just staying on him. I'm not letting him get too far ahead. I'm just gonna stay with him. I'm pushing myself, and the whole time I'm thinking about my mom. I'm gonna make my mom proud. I'm gonna make my mom proud. I'm doing this for my mom. I'm doing this for my mom. I'm doing this for my mom. So I'm just pushing myself, and it's hurting. It's hurting, man. Because when I showed up to boot camp, I think I ran a mile. I think when I was doing a shit with the recruiter, I think my 1.5 mile time was like 13 minutes. So that meant like I was doing like a 26-minute 3 mile. It was not good. Like I said, I was a sprinter. And then I got really out of shape when I got out of high school. So I was not looking good when I got to boot camp. But when I got to boot camp, natural abilities they awoken. So I'm just staying on that kid's ass, and we get to the turnaround point, and I'm staying on him. So we're about, we have about a mile left, and this kid's dying already, or something's happened. So I'm like, wait, or I got some energy. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go catch up to the drill instructor. He's the only one left. I mean, because I had some energy, and he's way up there, so I'm just like, fuck it. Beep, 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 beep. So I pass that kid, and I head to the drill instructor, but the drill instructor's moving. So I'm like, oh, this is hurting. So I'm catching. So we're coming around the bend to the home stretch, and I'm catching up to the drill instructor, and I just sprint, full bore. And there's no one at the finishing line but drill instructors. So they're not going to, they're screaming at me like, yeah, you fucking, whatever they're screaming at me. But I can't hear them because I'm trying to run so fast to catch up to this drill instructor that's ahead of me from another platoon. And I pass him like with 20 meters left. I pass him right at the finish line. Boom, I get first. Everybody. I think my 3 mile time was right at 18 minutes, like right on it, or 18:01, or 17:59. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was like right on the limit to making a perfect 300. But I didn't get the perfect 300, so it must have been 18:01 or something like that. I ended up with the certificate from bootcamp saying I got a 299. You can't give me that one fucking point. But that skylined me again. So I got 100% on the prac test. Had to go take that weird fucking security clearance test. And then I got fucking put on, then I get the #1 PFT out of the whole fucking company. And I mentioned Medina, he's with me, and I beat him on the final PFT. So you go to Camp Pendleton after like 2 months at MCRD doing drill. And so you do final drill. So all this is drill, and along the way, this is making our platoon look good, and then so we took pre-drill, I think it's pre-drill, and we took prac because I got 100% on it, and I helped bring up our grade point average or whatever, and we took this, so as a trail platoon, we weren't supposed to get all this shit, so we get the final drill, and we were good. I mean, I'm not going to say anything, we were good, and so we're doing final drill, and we were moving. Everything's clicking. Everything just sounds. It looks good. Look up the videos on YouTube of drill with Marine Corps drill instructors. It is something to behold. And so our senior drill instructor is he's got a cadence that it motivates the piss out of you. And so we were just sharp, crisp. Well, the colonel, the base commander, who I have a picture of meeting him because I'm company honor man. His fucking daughter and her friend. Civilians, Southern California, come walking across the parade deck when we're doing final drill in nothing but shorts and a bikini top. You can ask everyone in the platoon and my senior drill instructor. I'll give you his fucking name. So he gives a command, by the right flank. Well, we hadn't seen girls or anything like that. We only smelled them when we went to church, but we couldn't sit around them. It's just like in a bikini top and short shorts back then. What the fuck? So I hadn't been made guide yet. So I was still in the platoon, like right behind wherever I was. They hadn't decided to make me guide yet because I told you I tried to keep under the radar. but my accolades kept throwing me up there, but in the rear, I wasn't one of those screaming at anybody or anything like that. I wasn't even the squad leader. I was just sitting in. I was going to stay by myself. I didn't even get to be rack mates with my buddy, from the buddy program. So, I was rack mates with someone else. So we were doing final drill, and he's just like, by the right flank, half of us go to the right. 2 squads go this way. 2 squads go towards the girls, and they go by the left flank, and the girls are this way. And my platoon, my senior drill instructor was like, platoon, halt! And we stop, and we're frozen, but we want to look through our eyes to see what fucking happened. And you should see his face. And then the girls are giggling, as they're walking and just giggling, smiling and waving at us, and because they know we're fucked. But the judges, the scorers, understood. So they said, form back up. So he formed us back up with precision. Let's go. And I don't know if we won it or came second, but I remember having the maybe we won pre-drill, and that was what's in the window. But I don't know if we won final drill, but I mean, we were close or we won it. But he put us back together. But yeah, those girls, they knew what the fuck they were doing. Oh, God. And then, so my rack mate, he was a fuck up. And I was on the bottom rack. And the guys that seen Full Metal Jacket know what a blanket party is. This does happen, unfortunately. I don't know if it still happens, but it did happen in my boot camp. And like Full Metal Jacket was not that old, so a lot of us had seen it before we came in. And this kid really fucked up. He just fucked up every day. And the whole platoon get thrashed for it. And the guys are getting tired. After hours, they're getting tired of it. So the final straw was he fucked up so bad, and it's usually something drill or something like that. I don't know, but he fucked up real bad, and we were all getting thrashed, and we got thrashed for a long, long time on the quarterdeck and in front of our racks. And it's just, there's puddles of sweat just underneath me, and we're like doing push-ups, and my nose is going into my own puddle of sweat, and we were there for a long, long time. And so the drill instructor, to add salt to the wound, sorry, my throat, gives these smoky bear, puts it on the recruit's head, has the recruit sit on a couple foot lockers at the head of the squad bay, and then give him a Coke. It was the first Coke any of us had ever seen in boot camp, and let him drink the Coke while he barked out the orders for us to get thrashed. So the drill instructor would tell him what to say, and then he would scream it at us to do, this fuck up recruit. That didn't go over well at all. So that after that was the final straw that broke the camel's back. And so we were all saying, he's my rack mate, he's above me. And the guys were talking about it that night, and especially the infantry guys, and they were talking about it, and we're like, they're going to give him a blanket party. They're going to go get the soap, put it in a sock or a towel, and they're going to whoop him while he's sleeping at night. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's my rack mate, and I know in Full Metal Jacket, the rack mate helps whatever, or eventually does it or something like that, but no, I wasn't going to do it. I told him not to do it. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing it. My buddy didn't do it. And so, it wasn't like the whole platoon did it. A lot of us didn't do it. We didn't participate, but there's I'd say about 10 or 12 guys that did. But he's my rack mate, and I let it happen. I didn't stand up for him, and a lot of us didn't stand up for him because we were tired of it and tired of him. And if this gets him in line, then oh well, shit, prison rules, I guess. But yeah, I heard it happen. I let it happen, and everyone did that around me. Let it happen. He got whipped, and they didn't hold him down. He ended up blocking himself, but they didn't hold him down with like their covers or anything, like hold him down, because I would have seen it because they would have been right next to me. But they just went up there and whipped him real quick, and he had a black eye the next day. He had a swollen face. He was sore. The drill instructors pressed him like, who did it? Who fucking did it? And they thrashed the piss out of all of us, wanting to know who did it and all this stuff. No one said anything, and he didn't even say anything. But I don't think there was any more problems with him after that. He graduated with us, but we didn't. I don't remember getting thrashed by him anymore after that. But it was sad, and looking back on it, sad. So when you get to boot camp and that shit comes up, if it's still a thing or whatever, stick up for the dude. Don't let him do that to him. just stick up for the young man. You can get him squared away. Just work with him. Don't do the blank powder bullshit. Doesn't make you a better Marine. It's just work with him. He'll get through it. But after that, you go up to you go do your rifle training at Camp Pendleton. So you go up to the rifle range for the recruits, and you start learning. You snapping in with the rifle, and that's painful. You're sitting there for hours just snapping in. Snapping in is just when you're sitting looking at these little silhouettes and just aiming and switching positions and staying in those positions for like an hour. And in the kneeling or in the prone it's not so bad, but in the kneeling it sucks, or in the seated it gets tiring in the seated position. So I mean, so you do that for like the first week, and then you get on the range, and then you do the rifle qual. So I'm up there. And it's like the second week we're up there. I think you're up there for like 2 months. No, not 2 months. You're up there for like a month. You go up there for the rest of your time, and then you come back for like graduation week and graduation week and family day and all that shit. So you're up there for the remainder of boot camp, and then you just go back, and it's almost time to leave and graduate. So you're up there getting prepared to do the rifle qual, and we're outside Chow Hall, and Staff Sergeant Prentice comes up to me. Like I said, he's the one that beamed me in the head with a spray paint cannon. And I always scared of this dude, but I liked him. And so he comes up, and of course he towers over me, and I'm positioning attention straight ahead. He goes, "Parkinson." I'm like, "Yes, sir, Drill Instructor, Staff Sergeant Prentice, sir. Recruits' ears are open, sir." Or some shit like that. And he goes, "Did you know you got 100% on the prac test?" I said no. I did the whole spiel again. "Did you know you got the top PFT in the company?" And I, of course, said no. Did my whole spiel again. "Go up there and get the fucking guide on." And in my head, I'm like, no. I don't want to be the guide. The guide gets thrashed for everything wrong with the platoon. But my buddy Dickman was up there as a squad leader, and I had some good squad leaders, and they were all my friends. And you gotta go up there and get the fucking guide on. So I go up there and get the guide on, and this is how the guide was told he was relieved. I'm like, man. And I like the guide. And I was like, man, give me the fucking guide on. I'm guide. He goes, "What?" "Give me the fucking guide on. I'm guide." And so we do the changing of the guide on, and he posts back to this where my spot was, and I got the guide, and so that's how I became guide. I was a guide for like the last month. So when you're guide, you're at the front of the platoon, you get thrashed. Oh my god, I got thrashed so many times for guys not shutting up on Sundays. I got thrashed for guys not doing shit right in the fucking cleaning. I got guys getting thrashed because guys were just being fuck ups, and it sucked. So I got thrashed a lot. Again, I had good squad leaders, and like I said, Dickman was one of my squad leaders, so he's like my enforcer. No one wanted to get knocked out by Dickman. So we do the rifle range, and then all the guides from each platoon have to, before you go back to MCRD to graduate, you have to go, it's called a guide competition, so you can become company honor man. So you're the top dog out of these 500 recruits. But it's really your top dog out of the other 5 guides. So it's really a guide competition, but they're the top ones from each platoon. So we get there, and you go in front of a board. You got officers and senior enlisted, and they ask you general questions, and all of us remember them. It's just general, and they just try to stump you. And eventually, one of them will miss a question, and I just didn't miss a question, so I won. And that was it. You got company guide. So I'm company honor man right then and there, and then. Also, they look at your record and stuff, and I was the only guide to shoot expert. So, like back then, I could shoot. Right now, I probably couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. So, James, when the apocalypse happens, I'll take the fucking saw gladly. But then I was on it. 2015 vision, all that shit. So I was the only guy to shoot expert. And so like Mitchell Medina, I beat them out. They're in the book. There's in upcoming books. So. That was the only time I beat him on anything. And so while you're up there, after you do the rifle range, you're getting down, we're getting ready to leave MCRD, but before you do, you get your Eagle Globe and Anchor. And that's the defining moment when, for us, for my group, you have the Crucible. So you do 2.5 days at the end of Camp Pendleton after you do the rifle range. You have the Crucible. And it's 2.5 days of field work. as a grunt, you look back on the Crucible, and that's just like a day in the park, man. There was nothing, it's not shit. But then, as you know, young recruits, it's like, holy shit, what? Fuck, this is infantry? So you do the Crucible. It's just 2 days of staying awake and doing bullshit and getting dirty. You do the gas chamber. That's always fun. People puking and snot and all that shit, and you get thrashed in the gas chamber. And then at the culmination of everything, you go up to the Reaper. It's just this mountain. And as a grunt in infantry, you get stationed at Pendleton. The Reaper ain't shit. But as a recruit, the Reaper's tough as fuck. So you hump up the Reaper, and you get to the top. And like I said, it's tough as fuck as a recruit. And so you get to the top of the Reaper, and there's formations. It's like half. You can't fit the whole company up there. So they do half the company one moment, and then the next half of the company will come up. So we go up. It's our turn to go up the Reaper. And you feel pride when you get up there. So when you get up there, there's a flagpole with the American flag and the Marine Corps flag. And then you can just, it's just an expanse. You can just see the Pacific Ocean. It's just a beautiful spot. It's just really, it's a defining, this is the defining moment of a Marine's, career. It's getting your Eagle Globe and anchor for the first time. So, especially if you're in the West Coast, because you get to go up the top of this Reaper. And I don't know how they do it in the East Coast at Camp Lejeune, Paris Island. But it can't be like the Reaper. It just can't be. So you get up there and you see the Pacific Ocean out there, and they start going down each squad, popping in front of you, and handing your Eagle Globe anchor. And then my favorite drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Prentice, presented me my Eagle Globe and anchor, and it just was a defining moment. I was so proud. I just thought of my mom. I did just think of my mom in that moment. Like, I just can't believe this. And I dropped a man tier. A lot of us did. And then you give it, they present it, and then you just hold it in your hand. It's just an Eagle Globe and anchor. You just hold it. You just can't believe it. And so you just don't want to let it go. So you head back down. You're all proud, and you clean up, and you head back down to MCRD to start the graduation week, and you just practice. But like Staff Sergeant Prentice, he's my favorite because during the company honor man competitions, he took my camis out in town and got them starched for me. He's just getting in my face. You know what I fucking did for you? He's just right there. I fucking got your cami starched. And then he drove by when we were in formation one time, and I was marching. I was out front, and he stops his car in front of our platoon, so I couldn't move any further. And the drill instructor had to stop us, and he halts the thing, and he goes, "Parkinson, this is for you." It flips me off and drives off. It's because he had to go out and get my camis pressed for the company honor man thing instead of leaving it to me just to iron. He just wanted me to win. So it made him look good, I guess. But he was my favorite. And so you get back and you do the family day. But I had a phone call. I got an extra phone call because I was company honor man. And I went to go do it. And he's there. My Staff Sergeant Apprentice is the one that took me to get the phone call. And I go talk to my mom, and then I get out of the phone call, and he's like, "Parkinson, did you tell her you're a company honor man?" I'm like, "No, sir." And I was like, "No, sir, senior drill instructor, or not senior drill." I was like, "Staff Sergeant, drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Apprentice, sir." "No, I didn't." And he goes, "Why the fuck not?" I'm like, so I answer. I do the whole spiel again. I'm like, "Well, this recruit." I can't say this recruit anymore because he's like, "You're a Marine." And he's like, I wanted it to be a surprise for my mom and my sister. And he looks at me stone cold and just, "That's good to go." Get the fuck out of my face. So I got his blessing on that one. And then I go meet the base commander. Didn't get to meet his daughter. But I went and go meet the base commander, shook his hand, and that was pretty cool. I got the picture up on the wall. I was tiny back then. And then, so you go to graduation week and you practice drill and you practice other things. So you have family night, and it's family dinner night or something like that. And I still hadn't told my mom that I was company honor man. So when we march out there, I'm the very front of the whole company. Because they made me come up there, and I got to call everybody. I got to go, "Hey, right, company, right, right." Or it was company left, right. And they snap to attention and come on, dismiss. To go see their family. And but my mom didn't know because she couldn't recognize me because we all looked alike. She didn't recognize me. She didn't know when I was marching. I passed right by my mom and sister. They were just looking down the ways for my platoon. They didn't know I was in front because I didn't tell them. But I was at the very front, and I wanted to say something, but I couldn't. I was just marching straight ahead. And so I got to do all the, bah, bah, bah. And then I found my mom and sister, and then I told them. And she's like, what does that mean, company honor man? I'm like, I'm #1 graduate. I get a plaque. They give me a plaque. Well, I didn't get the plaque yet. I get it at the award ceremony. She goes, I'm getting a plaque, and I'm doing this, and they're going to call my name a couple times during the award ceremony, and that's it. And I guess she goes, wow, that's great. So my mom, and my sister there, and my sister's just beaming. She's just so proud. And she just loved me being a Marine, and just it couldn't have been a better thing for her big brother. She was just so proud of the Marine Corps and me and what I did. Even though I'm not as proud as I should be, she picked up the slack and was just so proud. And I did it for her and my mom. So family dinner night was great. And a lot of these guys are getting tobacco for the first time. They got their family sneaking tobacco, so throwing up in the fucking head. A lot of us had sugar and chocolate for the first time, so our stomachs were not happening. A lot of us had fucking shits, and oh god, it was terrible. And then you have to clean all that shit up later. And then we get to, you go to graduation day, and my mom and a bunch of other cousins are there and stuff, but they're sitting on the bleachers. But this, I don't know if it's an officer or what, comes up to my mom and says, Miss Parkinson, and you and your daughter need to come with me. And my mom said she was like all nervous and stuff, but they escorted her to the grandstands, and she got to sit next to a general that was there watching the ceremony. So that was cool. And not everyone graduated in blues. Only the company, only the platoon the guides got to wear their blues. And I'll put pictures up at the front end of this, but only the guys got to wear the blues. The rest of them graduated in their, I think it's deltas, which was cool. And again, we did a formation, and they called my name a couple times, so I had to go up there and get the awards in front of everybody, and my mom was just all excited, and especially when I got Company Honor Man Award, I'd come up there, and they were like, the #1 recruit, blah, 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 over the loudspeaker and all this shit. And so, I was #1 out of 600, I don't know, 500 probably, but, and my mom was just beaming. My sister was just beaming with pride. I mean, way more than I was. I think I was just ready to get the fuck out of there. And so, I marched back. We do the exchange of guidons with the. I got to do it with the infantry drill instructor because he was a gunny, and he wasn't the senior drill instructor, but he was, he was senior of the drill instructors. And like I said, I don't know what he did, or maybe he was tapped, but they capped him at gunny, and he didn't even get to be senior drill instructor. He just kept him as a drill instructor. I don't think people were afraid of him, but I got that practice working with him, and that was intimidating. But I got to. I got a good send-off because I'm infantry and he's infantry, and he was kind of like, he was kind of poetic in that way. I got to do the guide-on exchange with the infantry drill instructor. But he was also the one that, at nighttime would walk around our squad bay and tell us stories about Vietnam. Like, you don't know what it's like to have the enemy sneak up on you and try to gut you. You don't know what it's like to have an enemy put a knife to your throat. You don't know what it's like to have an enemy put their AK-47 in your face. I'm like, oh shit. And I think he was on, I think Vietnam was hellish every fucking year it was there, but I don't know if he was in there in like the early 70s before it fanned out or what, but he was in Vietnam as like a PFC or private. So he saw that shit. So he scared us all, especially infantry. He would tell us all the stuff, you infantry guys, you're fucked. So listen to that, you infantry Marines and recruits. Pay attention. It's misery. Until you later on in life. But it's misery. So, boot camp. So you get to graduation day, it's all smiles. You just can't wait to get the fuck out of there. And then they dismiss you at the very end. Us guys got to go back to our platoons. And then, I don't know if I say platoon dismissed or our senior drill instructor did. I think I turned around and said platoon dismissed. I don't remember. But it was great. and we just took off running, hanging out with the family, and then everything's all hunky dory. I stayed in San Diego that night with the rest of the family, all of us cousins that are pretty much the same age. My aunts and uncles and my mom went all in and rented a limousine for us, a white stretch limousine. Like I said in my other videos, it's always a white stretch limousine I ended up in. But we just went around a bar in the Gaslamp district and just went to different bars in this limo, and then we ended up in front of, back then there's Planet Hollywood. So I guess they're used to stars coming up to the Planet Hollywood. And I just graduated boot camp that morning. And so I come up, and I'm wasted, of course, and we come up to the Planet Hollywood in this limo up in the front, and it was like Planet Hollywood was new or what, but there's a crowd out there, and they just started swarming thinking some celebrity was coming out, and then all you see is this dork-ass Marine and his messed up cousins. But, I had the stupid shaved head and fucking, my shirt tucked in, my polo shirt tucked in, my belt, it's supposed to be regulations. I look like a tool. And you should have seen that crowd's faces. They're so disappointed. They're just saying, because they didn't have cell phones back then, thank God, but that would have been like epic fail for this Marine. But yeah, it was like a collective, oh. No one famous, sorry. Just a Marine got an honor man. Out with his fam. But that was cool. We went into the Planet Hollywood and ate and had a good time, and everything was paid for, and it was cool. So you just go, after that, guys, you just go on home on boot leave, and then you just get in trouble on boot leave. Good trouble. You just get drunk and hang around with your old friends from high school, and they're all like, oh, wow, you're a Marine. I went back and talked to my old high school, Sweetwater. I went down to Sweetwater, and my buddy was from outside of Sweetwater, so he went to his high school too, and I went to my high school. And, I saw my coaches, and I talked to a class, and I was in my uniform, the Chucks. I was in the Chucks. And I, of course, I had a PFC rank because I graduated company honor man, so they meritorious promoted me to PFC. And he's, everyone adores you. I don't know what it's like now, but my coaches were just like, I fucking suit you. You needed to go to the Marines. I'm like, what the fuck's that supposed to mean? But yeah, that's pretty much the last, ever saw my buddy. Really, it was back on boot leave. We just get wasted, and then when boot leave was over, I went to SOI to go back to MCRD. Back then, they did too, but we went on separate flights. But the Pogues, before they go to their tech school, they have to go to a thing called, I think it's called Marine MCT. It's 2 weeks of learning how to be a grunt. That's all it is. And so they cram like 2 weeks of being a grunt, and because they're not specialized in infantry. They just want, every Marine's a rifleman, so they just want to give you the basics of the basics of the basics, and that's what they got 2 weeks of that. Every Pogue goes through 2 weeks of that. And but if you're infantry, you go to a specialized school. It's called School of Infantry, and you spend 8 weeks. It's just an extended boot camp. So be prepared, infantry guys. Again, misery, and in my next episode I'll talk about SOI, but that's misery. But you look back on it now, and it's great. I mean, I'm not going to discourage anyone from going infantry. I'm just saying be prepared. It's not trumpets and fucking band playing in your head and all this rah-rah shit. You get that afterwards. You can have all that afterwards. But it's misery. But that's boot camp. So everyone goes through that. It's 13 weeks, and it is the toughest boot camp there is. And I'm not going to keep you from going infantry Marine. I mean, you need them. They're the ones that do the fighting. They're the ones that do the winning. But it's for some and it's not for some. And just be prepared for that. It's going to be an eye-opener. And so, you'll get through boot camp just fine. But once you get through boot camp and you get to SOI, that's when the reality sets in, and just be prepared. All right. Well, have a good one, and I'll talk to you on the next one about School of Infantry.
Someone asked me once in an interview, What was growing up like? Where'd you go to school? And what would you do if you weren't doing this? I'd be driving my first car in a worn-out Dodge, trying to make rent with a dead-end job, just making do. The tips in a jar, my guitar in an old bar stool. I'd have a Friday night crowd in the palm of my hand, cup of brown liquor, couple buddies in the band, singing them same damn songs like I am now. Someone asked me once in an interview, what was growing up like? Where'd you go to school? And what would you do if you weren't doing this?